Alright everyone, welcome back. Hopefully you all had a good weekend. Thanks for the huge support and turnout for my previous video wherein I discussed a Ubisoft job opening on the official Ubisoft careers page for their studio in Shanghai. This job posting in particular talked about a redesign for the summit, a new PvP map, and a further job posting talked about weapon and gear balancing. Now this was some pretty big news in that we've heard nothing about the summit getting changed, and PvP is one area that I think we had all given up hope on, so no surprise really that many of you turned up for that video, tuned in for that one, and gave your feedback in the comments. Thanks to all of the content creators who gave me credit for finding this information, even though of course I'd never asked for it, and I really appreciate all of the likes and the dislikes and interaction on that video. Since that video went live then, we've had some further developments that I want to discuss, and unfortunately it's bad news, so let's get right into it. Drop a like if you enjoyed this one, subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss a video. Now if you didn't watch my previous video, I'd recommend you go and do that just for some context on this one, but I basically covered it in the intro. The only other thing I didn't mention, which was pretty big news, was the mention of Ubisoft Shanghai being involved in the Division 2, something that had not come up before. You know, we had Bucharest, we knew that Massive were working on it, and now we've got Shanghai involved. The scope of the new content appears to be pretty large. Maybe bigger than we had all been anticipating. Now in response to that video, this got shared quite a lot on Twitter, and on Saturday, Palle Hoffstein, art producer for the Division 2, responded saying the following. Hey, I can't speak for the studio that wrote those job postings, but I would caution against interpreting what's written as being reflective of our actual roadmap. So Palle's response had me thinking, firstly, this all but confirms the details included within the job posting are not aligned to the actual roadmap within Massive. And I've got no reason not to believe what Palle is saying here. Secondly, I'd very much like to see this roadmap. And thirdly, why would Ubisoft Shanghai include such specific wording as the summit redesign and PvP map experience if this wasn't aligned to the Division 2 content roadmap? Now I did have people reach out to me in the comments and on Twitter following my video saying maybe this is to do with the Division mobile, maybe that the translation got messed up between, you know, English to Chinese or whatever the case may be, and maybe that the wording is wrong. And those were definitely possibilities, but as I said, I mean, this is very specific wording. I find it's highly unlikely that translation was an issue. I mean, it's very likely this is not to do with the Division 2 and it's maybe the Division mobile, but then I'd have to question why it says the Division 2 and there are 4 job postings for the Division 2. So I decided to do a bit of digging on Saturday, and I think I found the answer. And it's not the answer I wanted, to be honest, because I was hoping Palle responded the way he did just to kind of throw us all off of the scent, but I'm actually confident that what he has said is actually true, which is a real shame, and we're going to get into what I found here. The Blockade 2. Has anyone ever heard of this game? Let me know in the comments below right now, as I'm about to tell you why this is relevant. Back on July 5th, 2021, news broke that Tencent, a Chinese tech giant, had acquired exclusive rights to the Division 2 in China. Now more recently, an article was released on min.news, which has given a lot more detail surrounding this agreement, and I think actually this article alone explains exactly what these job postings are all about. So I want to go into the article here, you guys, and we're just going to break it down. The article starts off by saying Tencent has been awarded the exclusive agency rights for the national server of Ubisoft's game The Division 2. Now I thought it was important to note that this article confirms Tencent have the rights for the national server, as in China all games are published must have an exclusive server for Chinese players, separate from their global server. So they have a national server for all Chinese players. Now, I was completely naive to this. I knew the Chinese government, they have very strong oversight of the gaming industry, with all new games in China requiring government approval. But I never knew there was a national server separate from the global one. Anyway, let's go on. The article goes on to say, according to official sources, as strategic partners, Tencent and Ubisoft are exploring and cooperating in multiple areas and are committed to bringing players a profound and innovative gaming experience. Through this cooperation, Ubisoft and Tencent will work together to provide Chinese players on the national server of the Division 2 with a good and fair game environment and high-speed, stable network connection experience. Again, This confirms that Chinese players will be getting a different experience to the global player base as Tencent take control. And it goes on to say, through cooperation with Tencent, we are pleased to be able to introduce The Division 2 into the Chinese market. It will be our first PC-side 3A masterpiece to be sold in China. Xavier Poi, CEO of Ubisoft China, said, "The Blockade 2 is a well-made 3A shooting game." So, it appears on the national server, The Division 2 will be renamed to The Blockade 2. Which is why I said before, has anyone ever heard of this game? And I presume all of you said no. I don't think I need to explain why that is the case, as many of you are going to be aware of China's censorship towards anything anti-government. And of course, The Division, those words alone, would be considered anti-government anyway. And so that's where the censorship comes in and why it's been renamed to The Blockade 2. Now, the last paragraph reads, Mr. Xu Guyang, I think that's how you say it. I did do like one of those YouTube things to find out how to say it before I made this video. So yeah, I don't know how close that was. Anyway, Vice President of Tencent Games and General Manager of Shooting category said, Tencent, as the exclusive agent of the Division 2 national server, will provide Chinese players with strong local support and services. We will continue to cooperate with Ubisoft, continuously optimize the content and strive to create a more exploratory, open world and a more exciting gun battle experience. Alright, so this explains what those job openings are all about, basically. I did say in my previous video I'm not sure exactly why it only referred to the Division 2 China, but that's because I was naive to how this game operates there. It would appear then that the Division 2, or should I say the Blockade 2 in China, will be getting more PvP maps and a redesign of the summit. I'd be very interested to see what these changes are and how it plays there. So if anyone knows how I might be able to see video footage from the Blockade 2 in China once this has gone live there, please let me know. I mean, I don't even know if that's possible. If it's not, then yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Unfortunately, it does mean that we are back to square one, and I again believe PvP will not be getting any new content, and at least from what Palle has said, the summit doesn't appear to be on the roadmap. It's a shame, really, but you know, the Division Heartland will be out for the PvPers, and I'm still hopeful this new content will be pretty big for PvE players. I've talked about what we can kind of expect from this new content update, and it is still going to be fairly large, but it does appear that Ubisoft Shanghai are not involved in the Division 2 as we know it. But there we have it, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know if this is disappointing to you in the comments down below. I'm a little bit disappointed because I do think the summit needs a lot of changes. I talked about it in my previous video. I think that it doesn't look like a skyscraper at all. It looks like a warehouse. 100 levels is way too much. And really only people are using it at the moment for kind of targeted loot. And I think, you know, once this new game mode comes out, if it is any good, then I think the summit will basically become a mode that no one really goes to anymore. Because from what I've heard about this new game mode, it's going to be fairly fast paced, whereas obviously the summit is very slow, you know. So yeah, let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Sorry for the bad news, but I wanted to kind of get this out to you as soon as possible. At the end of the day, the video I did previously was based on the information that I had in front of me, and now that I've dug into it a bit more, and we obviously had that response from Palle Hoffstein about this not being on the roadmap, I think it's clear to see now that actually Ubisoft Shanghai are not involved, and we shouldn't expect any summit changes, and we certainly shouldn't expect any PvP stuff, which is what we all thought initially anyway. Thanks for watching. If you guys stuck around until the end, I really appreciate it, and until the next one, epic out.